Hi, my name is Terry Lee from Sweet Pea Papers in the Sweet Pea Papers group, Facebook group. I can't even talk today, sorry. And this is video 8 in our Winter Animals series using a Vectoria Designs kit by the same name. You'll notice that this is not the kit and this is not the book we're working on, and that's because I want to show you this book as an example. This is the first cover I ever made, and let me show it to you. It looks like leather. It's pretty cool, and I sewed it. Okay, so it looks like leather. And I made it with paper towels and Mod Podge and paint, black paint. So, and a little bit of green to kind of give it a little bit of variation so it wasn't solid black. And the little bit of white you see showing through is actually the paper towel. Okay? So, and it's fine. It doesn't hurt anything because of the Mod Podge. So, on the inside, I actually did the paper towel all over on the inside too, but we're not going to because I want to paper the insides. So all we're going to do is wrap it around on the inside, and then we're going to paper over it on the inside. We're going to paper over it on the outside, and because we're going to be using white paper and white paint and white paper towels. So let's see if we can figure this out. This is new for me. I've never done one this way. I mean, except for the Mod Podge part. But I've never constructed the cover the way that we're going to try to do this one. Get this out of the way. It's giant. This is my book of firsts. And the very first time I made anything, including the cover, I put it in that book. So I don't really refer to it anymore, but I do keep it for sentimental reasons. Crash bang. Okay, so what we're going to need Mod Podge, and this is just regular Mod Podge, and some white paint. This is just Apple Barrel inexpensive paint. I'm going to get $6 for 16 ounces or something like that. We're going to need 2 paintbrushes, one for paint. I'm going to use the paint on this one, and one for Mod Podge. This is my Mod Podge brush. I probably could have used a bigger brush for that, but this is the only bigger one that I have. And it's possible I may go back down to this size depending on how it works with the paint. Okay, and then I use this coffee can lid as a template for 5-inch circles, but I also use it as a palette. And then you just wash it out and it's good to go. We're also going to need a roll of paper towels. Now be mindful, I got these paper towels, I believe they're sparkle. And the reason I like these paper towels is because the pattern on them is just lines going straight across, and they're not actually lines, they're just little ridges. Now you don't want to, unless you want it, to get the kind with the little spirals or, you know, whatever, because that pattern is going to show through if it's raised up or indented in when you get done. So keep that in mind. I like this for the reason that I said, and so I'm going to use it again this time. Then we also need some micropore tape. This is very strong. It's cloth tape, and we're going to assemble our book with this. Then we're going to need our book cover, which is just like normal. It's 2 pieces of thin cardboard glued together. One's a shirt box and the other's a cereal box. So we've got Christmas and Honey Nut Cheerios. So getting Honey Nut Cheerios for Christmas. And then I put a 2-inch spine. And then the other side. Now, this is a little bit taller than normal. This is 9 1/4 because we're going to be using elastic, and I needed enough room to punch the holes to put the cord through. Okay. Now, the other one I sewed through, and it was cardboard, but I think it was only 1 layer of cardboard. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I want to show you my samples that I tried at first, just to see. Oh, and then we're going to cover the spine inside out with white paper. And I've sprayed this to make it sparkly. On the outside, it's not going to make any difference, but on the inside, it will. This is going to be our outside cover. No. Oh, I just drew a line down the middle of the one that's going to go on the inside. Well, we'll flip it up. No, this one's going to go on the outside. Just the line's not going to do us any good. That's all. Because I thought, ooh, we'll line the line up with the line. Because this is just going to cover the end so that we don't see the cardboard through it. We are going to paint, but I thought this way it would be a little bit darker on the spine itself and around a little bit, and it would look sort of like, you know how the Reader's Digest covers look, where it's got the two-tone cover. I thought maybe we could try something like that and see if it turned out. I don't know. Like I said, I've never done one like this, quite like this before. So it's an experiment for both of us, and it may possibly take video 8 and 9. I'm not sure if we'll get this done in one video. Here's my sample. This is just cardboard, and it's only one layer. That's why it's a little warpy. And I used a mixture of white glue and water to do this one. And it turned out fine. You'll notice you can see the cardboard through. So you definitely have to paint it unless you want to see the cardboard through. That's up to you. Make sure you don't do the shiny side up because you'll see the pattern. So otherwise we would have seen the bee. Now, as an experiment, I wanted to see, because you know how the ink will run on a inkjet printer, printed piece of paper, because it's not water, or it is water soluble. So I thought I want to see what would happen if I glued a piece of paper on there. So I just glued a scrap on there and laid down the paper towel and put the Mod Podge on it this time, and not the glue water combination. And I don't know if you can see or not, but it looks pretty cool. This looks more white on camera than it is. It's not that white, but it does look white on camera. Okay, so you've got the ridges. You've got the little bit of white here and there, and then you've also got the pattern that you can see through. I was very, very tempted to do that, but I think I want it to be white. That's what I think. Okay, so let's attempt to start. And we're going to need this right away. And we're going to need these. We don't need our paper towels right this second. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay them out. And we're just going to tape them together. And it doesn't matter if it's super straight. The cover has to be straight. But the tape itself, because we're covering it with paper on both sides. So you want to kind of get it as far apart as you want it. And then you're just going to take some of the tape. And it's called Micropore, M-I-C-R-O-P-O-R-E. This is actually Curad latex-free cloth or medical tape. Micropore will work as well. Wow, I don't know what all those dings are all of a sudden. Wish I'd have turned the volume down on my computer. Come on. This tape has not been used in a while, so it's stuck pretty good. There we go. And it's very sticky because it's meant to stick to your skin. So you have to be careful about it touching itself because it will stick. Just like that. Okay, so then we're just going to take a piece of the tape, and you can use just this, believe it or not, to bind a book, or to create a cover, as long as you don't mind it being a little loosey-goosey, you know, in the center. Now it's slid over. And it's the only thing you have to keep your eye on. It's really getting annoying. So the main thing is that you want the gap doesn't look like I have the gap. Optical illusion. Establish the gap on the side that I can't see any of the cereal box through. And I want mine, darn it, to be about 1/4 of an inch. This piece of the cardboard was a little, and I thought gluing them together would fix that, but it isn't really done so. Then we're going to want to do our bone folder just like we would with paper. And the reason we want to do that is, well, to make sure you've got it the right gap all the way down, which this one looks a little crooked actually. It is, it's closer at the top than it is the bottom. That might be an easier way to do it. I've never done it that way before, but lo and behold, it looks correct. And as you can see, it doesn't really give it any strength, but it will hold it. But, you know what I mean? It'll be a little loose. I've done it this way without the first book I did, that book of firsts, I did without anything else but this tape. Now remember, the paper towel with the Mod Podge is going to be very sturdy when it dries. So you don't really have to worry about it just being the Mod Podge and the tape. What I'm going to do, like I said, is I want on the outside spine, I want white up to here on either side. So we're going to add the paper. Now, this is a 2-inch spine, so I made a 6-inch wide piece of paper. And we're just going to have to absorb this little bit of a, opening space. So let's go ahead and do this again. And it's about the width of the bone folder apart. And then we'll put the tape on this side. And this tape's really easy to work with, except for the fact of how super sticky that it is. And I am so crooked. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Which I know I was off camera, but I needed the length. You don't want any wrinkles, though. Except it doesn't really matter, to tell you the truth, as long as it's not a giant wrinkle that you'll be able to see through the paper. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to make it a little bit longer. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So apparently, laying out the piece of tape and then laying the cardboard on it is easier. Well, that's a lot easier, isn't it? Except I think that's a little wide. It's easier to redo it, that's for sure. Looks a little messy at the top on the other side. Now that you've got both sides on here, do this so the tape will stick to itself. And we're going to do the paper, the white paper, before we do the Mod Podge. That way it will look darker. If you wanted to do the paper afterwards, you probably could, but then you would probably want to go along and make an even little edge of the paper towel Mod Podge mix on there first, and then paint it after you do that. Okay, and then you'd have to be careful and just paint right up on the edge of the Mod Podge. We're not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to do it the easy way since I've never done it before. Now, there's going to be drying times in between. I don't use the heat gun on this. I didn't on the first one. I don't know if it makes any difference as far as, shrinking and wrinkling and things like that. So I'm going to let it dry naturally. So we're going to do the cover with the paper and then the Mod Podge. And then I'm going to put you on hold, and then we will, and in fact, I may start the Mod Podge and then put you on hold and then finish, because there's no reason for you to watch me for 20 minutes sitting there painting this with Mod Podge. Just my opinion. It's my video. I'm so funny. Now see, this would hold just fine. This fiber material, or this fiber tape, is very strong. I'm pushing down quite vigorously on this. Okay. So we've got this. Okay. And you can even turn it like this. You can even flip it over inside out. That's how loosey-goosey it is. Of course, once you put signatures and stuff in, and like I said, once we put the Mod Podge on, I've actually made covers like this without Mod Podge and just put the paper pieces on. Yeah. The only thing I would say is if you're going to put paper on the original way, which is cover the whole thing, have a couple seams, depending on how big your cover is, or one seam up the middle, I would caution you, because I'm not sure how the seam would react to adding the Mod Podge and the paper towel. I don't think it would make any difference. I really don't. I don't think it would, wrinkle at the seam or anything like that. But I've never done it that way. So I don't want to promise you and then have you go to all the trouble of papering it with your favorite patterned paper. I would have just done this here on the front. And that was all I was planning on doing, and that was what my experiment was. I guess that is a little bit whiter there. I didn't get enough Mod Podge on it. You can always just go back and add more. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Now, whatever we do, this is going to end up being the outside. So see, my plan, well, it wouldn't have worked anyway because, you see. So my plan is to glue this on here with the inch so we can wrap it around and glue it on the inside just like you would a normal cover. only we're just not doing all of the cover. I'm going to try to get it in the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the whole center. Let's measure out 2 inches. Let's just do that. I think that would be the easiest way to do it. Then we know where to put the edges. How about that? I knew we could draw a line somewhere. Where's my pencil? All right. We pause for this commercial break. Well, I got my backup pencil. I hate it when I misplace my pencil. All right. You know, is my glass in the right spot? No. There we go. Sorry about that if I've been off camera. I've been going by this tape right here to decide whether something's on camera or not. So I apologize. Okay. It's just me lining up tape at the bottom. That's the only thing you missed. So that's 2 inches from the edge of the cover itself, not including the little gap, and not from the spine, just from the edge of the cover. For some reason, it seems really shadowy. Got 5 lights on, 6 lights on. You would think. I might have made that a little dark. Okay, now when we glue the paper, I just keep thinking it might have rolled up under the edge there. Yeah, my shim. Oh no, it's there. My glass is, yeah, there we go. My glass work surface is on the center of my table, and it's one of those tables, buffet table. So it folds in half. So there's a seam right here. And so my glass kind of bobbles. I have to put a shim under one corner. All right, enough of that. So now we're going to glue everything from here to here. So it's almost like a mini cover that we're going to glue. And you can use the Fabri-Tac right over this tape. It's cloth. And you have to remember there's going to be Mod Podge over it. So as long as you glue it on and it's there, you should be fine. You do want to glue it in here. But you definitely want the paper to go down into here. You have to be a little careful. The micropore will absorb some of the glue. So let's do everything else. A lot of glue. That's why sometimes I regret using Fabri-Tac. It's kind of an expensive proposition to make a cover and use this much glue. But we definitely want a lot in the center and a lot in here. We don't want it to bubble up when we fold it or close it and open it and that kind of stuff. No, so much Fabri-Tac making my eyes burn. Normally it doesn't bother me. Okay, now let's do this in here. Can't tell if there doesn't look like there's any glue going in there. Yeah, there's glue in there. Okay. Let's take this paper and we're going to line it up with the lines. We're going to leave an inch or so. How is it that that's not wide enough? Okay, I can compromise. And it isn't really an inch above and below either. I should have put this paper line side down. Doing the same thing with the paper. I'm also gonna make sure it's completely attached here. I mean, you want it completely attached everywhere, but especially, see, if you hear it crackle with Fabri-Tac, it usually means you still can rub it some more. What is on here? It's a good thing it's not the inside. I can't see it. Okay, then we should be able to fold it. And then just like any other cover, I'm going to put a bunch of glue in here. I'm hoping this works. It seemed like it would. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I could have left more paper. I don't know how I miscalculated that. I think I've only got 1/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom. What is on my work surface? I forgot to bend it a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little longer. You have to hold it down when it's shorter paper. The longer is better. I just had a bowl of cereal and now I'm hungry again. Still can't believe that's dirty. If I had been planning on leaving it white, I would have been very upset. And it won't matter about seams when we put the paper towel on, because the Mod Podge, just, if you've ever done it before, you know, kind of merges it together. If you want it to be as smooth as possible and as consistent, if you're not going to paint it, as possible, then you definitely want to be careful putting it on. It will look a little darker where you overlap it because it's more material. Oh, for goodness sake. I know I put a ton of glue on there. So apparently we're just going to chat and wait for the glue to dry. My hands are so dry. They look like the Sahara. I went outside this morning. I had to go to UPS and mail some stuff. And my car doors were all frozen shut. So I had to take my fingers and kind of scrape down in there, because the scraper, of course, is inside the car. You know, where it's useful. And I had black fingernails by the time I got to UPS. It was ridiculous. Okay, so now we've got that. But mainly we want it to be this way. So now we've got the white on the outside. Let's erase this line. Like I said, I did spray it, but it's not going to make any difference. However, it will make a difference on the inside. Oh, look, that came off. Huh. It's kind of weird. Most of it, anyway. That's just bizarro. I'll bet I know what it was. I'll bet it was that, whoops, sorry about that, people. I bet it was that glue, the repositionable tape dots. Thought I had gotten it all up. Okay, now, put this glue away. Let's see if I remember how to do this in a bigger area than just a small piece. You could probably stick it on with the paint too, to tell you the truth. Now, I'm thinking if I do it like this, I should have enough room. I'm going to have to wrap it around too. So you want to leave enough room around the edges, just like you would paper. You're going to leave your inch or whatever around. Okay. think I'm just going to tear it right here. How nifty neato. Okay, now I'm going to leave these seams apart. This is that select a size. So if I'd had regular size paper towel or regular width, then I would have just had the one seam, probably. So I'm going to fold this back. And I am going to, now the last time I did this, let me say this first, I did not wrap it around at first. I did go back later and do it. We might be in trouble because I'm out of pop. You know, after the front was dry, then I got that wet again and folded it over. So, whee! That's what happens when you use your Mod Podge jar instead of pouring it out. There's a big gunk, piece of gunk. If you put it on thick enough and do it quick enough, you should be able to get this whole front glued on in one go. Because really, Mod Podge really is just kind of glue and water. It's just the exact right mixture, that's all. Make sure you get it really good around the edges. Now, I didn't put anything down because I'm working on a glass surface. But you definitely want to put something down if you're not working on something that you can just scrape off or wash off or whatever. This washes up with water, cleans up with water. Okay, still very sticky. Remembering to leave our space at the end. I'm going to stand up here. I want to glue it down. This is going quicker on here because of the type of surface we're putting it on, which is the paper. Even though this is paper too, but it's smoother than this. This does have a little more grip to it than the other. And it's okay if it gets, you kind of get it glumped on the end because we're going to paint it over just a little bit so that we cover the top of the edge here, the top edge. Let's lay down another section. I don't know if that's being caused by Fabri-Tac or not? Didn't think about that. I hope the answer is not. We're going to paint it anyway, but just so you know, it looks like there's a little bit of a discoloration where the Fabri-Tac overlapped. You know, it came out around the edge of the paper. So you may want to be more careful than I was. I'm just trying to do it in sections, the size of the paper towel sections. And I'm not going to want that long, so I'm going to go in and cut it. Make sure you get the corners. It's handy having paper towels, huh? You can just wipe your hands. Yes, it does look like there's some discoloration from where the Fabri-Tac was. So that's something we learn. Put the cover on this for just 1 second. And see how long that is. And I'm going to do something else too, now that I think about it, before we're just going to pretend like this is paper. You want to? You can cut it crooked. Come on. Let's trim the corners. Why not? Well, these are awful close. Get some of that paper towel bulk out of there. Can't believe I'm doing this with paper towel. I didn't do it the first time. And I'm planning on putting book corners on too. Not that that's an excuse to, you know, do a bad job. But I'm just saying with paper towel, this is a little iffy. You know, getting close to the corner and all that good stuff. Because I think I've got one that's a little short. My suspicion is paper towel shrinks a little. And I realize that I'm getting Mod Podge all over this by flipping this over. Well, actually not, because we just glued it on. That still seems to be warping it a little bit. And now we're just going to paint this on. And definitely make sure that you get it saturated and that you get the edges. It's okay if you go over the edge. And it's going to take a lot. Paper towel is going to soak it up. Okay? So I'm going to put you on hold, and all I'm going to do, make sure, like I said, you go out over the edge. Just don't tear it, or try not to tear it. It's repairable if you tear it, but this is just like painting. And then when you get to here, just kind of fold it. All right, you're going to have to wait actually until you get the whole edge done all the way around, now that I think about it. And I believe I did 2 coats of this, or maybe it was 2 coats of paint. Okay. I just want to see about the edge before I put you on hold. Yes, I can definitely see, I think, where there was some fabric tack on there, maybe. Maybe. I think it went back around because it'll start drying before you can get back to it and fold it. You can see where you've missed. Be careful, it'll tear. Especially the more you go over it, because the weaker you're making the fibers, and they will tear. Because it is still paper towel, and it acts like paper towel. Okay? All right, I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to do these other 2 sections, and then we'll come back and we will, I'll let it dry, and we'll come back and flip it around and do that, and then we'll do the painting. Okay? All right. I will see you in just a second for you, and I don't know how long for me, because I'm going to have to wait for it to dry as well. So it doesn't take that long, but I want it to be dry, not wet dry. I don't even know what that means. I'll see you in just a second. All right, all of this is done now. So let's go ahead. It's not dry. Let's go ahead and, oh, that phone. I forgot to move it. Let's go ahead and wrap these around and glue them down. Now I'm working on a glass surface, so it doesn't matter that I lay this down on there. Now, I don't know about your surface. You know, stick to it or whatever. So I was getting ready to rinse out my brush, and I thought, you know, I put a lot on the corners so that the front would stick on the corner. And then I thought, what if that dries and it's super stiff and we can't bend it? So, like I said, I've only done it once. I followed a tutorial online. Help glue that down a little bit. What's up with that? So let's get this. The front went pretty easy. You want to make sure when you have lines like this that you go with the lines. Like I said, you don't want to tear anything. And it makes the fibers lay better too when they get damp. Alright, so now you want to make sure that your paper towel is kind of damp right in here. You don't want to tear it though when you wrap it. So I'm going to just, actually I'm just going to fold this over. Oops, wrong end. I'm going to fold this over just like I was doing a regular book. Glue it down. Doing it like this seems to work better. Which is just against the advice I just gave you. It seems to be better when you're doing the inside. Okay, let's hurry up and get this side done. Be careful when you're moving it around that you don't put your fingernails through the cover on the front, which is what I almost did. Kind of spruce that up a little bit. And paper towels are soft, or, you know, pliable. Haha, ply. Anyway, so it makes it easier. Now this actually worked a little bit better with the less flipping over, but and I'm trying to remember if I did something to this so that it didn't dry stiff and straight. You don't want it to not open either, but you definitely don't want it to dry flat and stiff. So I'm wondering if I stood it up on its end. Not sure. Not sure, just like in that movie, Idiocracy. I'm not sure. Go look that movie up and watch it. It's hysterical. It's about the dumbing down of the world in the future. Everyone has all the conveniences, you know, so they don't have to know anything. The machines. I would think somebody would have to know something, but things keep breaking and nobody knows how to fix. Anyway, it's really good. No, this is working out pretty well. It worked out well on my sample when I did the edges of my sample. And you want to make sure to get this outside edge right here. And remember, the paper's going to cover this, but you still want to get it on there. And this, where it's folded over, that edge is the most delicate. Yeah, my whole work surface is covered with glue right now. Maybe not such a good idea. All right. So that looks like it's going to work. You don't have to wait till it's dry. In fact, I guess it's probably better if you don't. You don't want that edge to accident, to get too stiff on you. The way I did it before, if I remember correctly, I let each side dry before I did anything else to it. I mean, as far as even curving it over the edges, but when in doubt, toss a bunch of Mod Podge on it. Okay. All right, now I'm going to put you back on hold while everything dries and I clean off my surface here. In fact, I think I'll wait for it to dry as well and just use my razor blade on it. Get it just a little bit so I can lay this back down. Then the edges won't dry. Yeah, let's do this. I don't want to keep touching that. I'm afraid my nails will go through. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. This is still warped a little bit. I'm hoping it'll be better as it dries. You know that, you know how paper can flatten out. If not, you can lay it flat and put it under a book, a big heavy book like an encyclopedia or something, and that will flatten it out. Make sure your Mod Podge is sealed really, really well. Okay, well that's it for that. And then we'll come back and when this is dry, and we'll paint it. And then put the inside on, and then we should be able to finish the cover at that point once the paint is dry. Okay? All right, I'll see you in just a second. All right, this is what it looks like dry. You can still see the brown. The white is looking pretty cool, though, with the paper on it. I'm so torn about deciding whether I'm going to paint it or not. But I think I will. I think I'll paint the whole thing, and then this will just be darker. And I think it'll still look like the line. Thank goodness I put it on straight, the paper on straight on both sides. Then when we go to do the inside, we're just going to do paper alone. So we need to paint around the inside white. So I'm almost thinking do the front and this. No, I'm just going to do, well, we can only do the front anyway, unless we lay it out flat. We could lay it out flat again and paint the whole thing. I'm undecided. 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 Ah, that's funny. So I got my palette, got my paintbrush. I switched back to the smaller brush because I think that'll give me better texture maybe. This is a brand new bottle. I just shook it up. Now this is apple barrel, so it is thinner than like expensive paint because it's craft paint. I think I just stuck my finger in it. Yes, I did. I think I'm going to need another paper towel. So we're going to pour a little bit out in here. Okay. Use a paintbrush to get that off there. And we're just going to paint it. So I'm probably not going to... Oh yeah, see that goes right on because of the Mod Podge. It goes right on. But it's definitely going to need more than one coat. And you don't necessarily have to get it in every single little nook and cranny, except on the brown part, I would think. I think the white part we can get away with making it look a little different, but we definitely don't want brown. This is going to take more than one coat. The way it looks, I have the feeling it's going to take 3. So, because this paint isn't very thick. Either that or I didn't shake it up enough. You know what I mean? And all the thick paint is at the bottom. I don't know though. There were a lot of bubbles. So we're just going to paint this. Like I said, the Mod Podge makes it go right on. It doesn't soak into the cardboard at all. I like this. I didn't know if I would like the white or not. I'm debating on going back and adding just some little streaks of blue to match our paper. And then the best thing about acrylic paint is you can just paint right over it once it dries. You can do that with oil paint too, but that takes several days to dry, to cure. So, yeah. So anyway, this is fun. I like doing covers like this. I remembered how much fun I had the first time doing it this time. And I think I'll do it more often. Probably not that often, but I do like it. And I'm trying to get this little edge here too. And I'm making a mess on my glass, but it's okay. I was able to almost scrape off the Mod Podge off of the glass. Where it was thicker, it just scraped right off, just so you know. I may just put one coat of the white on here. Maybe that's what I'll do. And I'll make it darker white on the rest. I don't know. Just can't decide. But you can still see quite a bit of the brown. I'm just going to have to keep doing coats of paint, I think, until it's covered. This is almost working like a gesso at this point. So we're just going to paint this on the outside. Then we'll paint it on the inside when it's dry. I remember the last time I did this, it took several coats. I'm trying to remember if I did more than one coat of Mod Podge, but I don't think I did. It doesn't really need it because it's good and solid the way that it is. So, and you can get a little rougher, you know, with it because it's the Mod Podge. You don't have to, I mean, I'm not saying jam down on it or anything. I'm just saying you don't have to be super duper, you know, picky. You don't have to be afraid, like with the paper towel, that you'll tear it. I'm gonna end up painting my bone folder or my ruler, $8 ruler. I'm gonna get that out of the way. $8 ruler. That's like using Fabri-Tac, right? $12, $14, $15 a bottle, depending on if you can get it on sale or not. If I wasn't making books, or if I had never made books, journals and folios and such, painting a folio is fun too, just so you know. I would never have thought in my life that I would pay $15 for a bottle of glue. Seriously. So, yeah, we're almost done with the first coat. I put too much paint in the lid. But this paint dries quickly. This is almost dry over there. And the nice thing is, like I said, this will wash out completely and we'll be able to use it again for something else. Maybe I'll get some blue. We can practice. The worst thing that could happen is we'd have to paint 3 more coats of white paint to cover it up. I'm definitely not going to do anything else to that spine other than paint it white. Now, I don't think the rest of it's ever going to be as dark as the spine area because of the white paper. I don't know, though. If I do keep painting it, it's going to stay whiter and whiter and whiter and whiter, I think, though. I don't know. It's just thinking out loud now. There's a little bit of a poofy spot right there when I open the, I don't know why I'm doing that. The Mod Podge has already sealed it. So I didn't get in the crease all the way, right in this one little spot. So I'm gonna try to fake it with the brush. Put a little bit more paint right there so it looks like there's a crease. That's not going to work. I'm just going to paint right over it. Okay, so that's it for this video. And I'm going to let this dry. And then I'm going to paint the inside as well. And then I'm going to do however many coats it takes to cover up the brown. And then we'll be done with that part of the cover. Okay? All right. I will see you in the next video. And that will be just 1 second for you and a day for me. Okay, bye-bye.